A very good morning, dear students and the viewers. I am Dr. Kusum Rawat. I again welcome you all on the YouTube channel of our Department of Electronics, Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Gorakhpur University. This video is a part 2 of the previous lecture series on linear integrated circuits. As in the previous lecture, I have discussed the differential amplifier, where I have informed or I have told you the 4 configurations of differential amplifier, that how you can use a differential amplifier in 4 different configuration. In that lecture, we have also solved the performance parameters of dual input balanced output differential amplifier, where we have calculated the differential voltage gain, the input resistance, the output resistance of the system, and we have seen that in differential voltage gain, the overall voltage gain is dependent on the collector resistance and the AC emitter resistance, and the input resistance is mainly decided by the beta factor of the transistor, right? And the most important point that is to be remembered, that for making a differential amplifier we need a perfect matching between the transistors that we are using. So for making a differential amplifier, the transistors should be matched very well. Matched means they have almost similar property. So in continuation to that lecture, I would like to discuss with you the cascaded differential amplifier. As you can see in this diagram, we have a two-stage amplifier. This two-stage differential amplifier, in the first stage it has dual input balanced output. We are collecting the output at both collector side. So dual input balanced output differential amplifier. Then the output of the first stages is fed into the input of the second stage. So in this case, the second stage is consist of dual input unbalanced output. So this is a cascaded differential amplifier example that I am showing you in this slide. Here you can see that I have not solved the equations or the performance parameters. This is a solved example in the Ramakant A. Gaikwad book. You can refer to that. And here I'll explain you that how you will calculate the overall differential voltage gain of these two multi-stage is these two stages differential amplifier. So as we know that the gain of the differential amplifier or any amplifier is a product of the gain of two individual differential amplifier. So this is in case of a differential amplifier first stage. In the first stage, as we know, gain is output over the input. So at the output we are having a voltage due to voltage output due to first differential amplifier. So this is denoted as VO1, and the input is the VID, that is the differential input we are applying. This differential input is the difference between the voltages applied at non-inverting and inverting. Okay? And this is the multiplied by the AD2. Now see carefully that at the second stage we are having a voltage gain of the second stage. Now this second stage, the output is VO, surely this is VO, but the input is the output of first stage, right? So this is VO1. Now as we have earlier, we have calculated the differential voltage gain for a dual input balanced output and dual input unbalanced output. In case of dual input and balanced output, the overall differential voltage gain is half of the dual input balanced output, right? So and the expression for is RC upon RE, yani that means the collector the collector side at the output, the collector resistance over the AC emitter resistance. So in this stage, as you can see here, the output is we are collecting at RC1 parallel with the input resistance of this previous of the next stage. So this RC1 parallel with RE1. RE1 is the emitter resistance of the this transistor Q3. So this RI1 is the internal resistance, sorry, it is the input resistance of the second stage is parallel with the RC1 upon the RE1. RE1 is the AC emitter resistance of the Q1. Now in the second ADU2 is consist of RC, that is the resistance of of the collector 4, RC4 upon twice of RE dash plus RE4. So this is half of the previous, half of the voltage gain of dual input balanced output, right? So using this formulas, what we have observed that the AD1, in the previous stage, the voltage differential gain that is established by first stage is 80.788 volt, and in the second stage we have observed the voltage gain is nearly 4.17 volt. Now as you can see in this diagram, the ideal in this table chart, the ideal versus the real op-amp characteristics. The ideal op-amp characteristics of the differential amplifier is infinite. The gain bandwidth product is infinite. The infinite gain bandwidth product indicates that any frequency signal from 0 to infinite hertz can be amplified without any attenuation. The infinite input resistance indicates that any signal source can derive it and there is no loading of the preceding stage. The zero output resistance indicates that any number of load can be derived by the ideal op-amp, whereas common mode rejection ratio is infinite. It indicates that how immune is the op-amp towards the noise. The slew rate is also infinite, which suggests the output voltage changes occur simultaneously with the input voltage changes. So these are the ideal op-amp parameters, whereas in case of real op-amp, the values are of the differential voltage gain is 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 9. The gain bandwidth product is around 1 to 20 megahertz. The input resistance is 1 mega ohm to 10 to the power 6 ohm mega ohm. The output resistance is nearly equal to 100 to 1000 ohm. Common mode rejection ratio is measured in dB decibels, so it is nearly equal to 120 dB. Slew rate is 13 volt per microsecond. This is the unit used for the slew rate, that is the rate of change of output voltage with respect to the time. Now we will see the voltage transfer curve. The voltage transfer curve is always plotted between the output voltage with respect to the input difference voltage. So keeping a gain A constant, what we have observed that the output voltage, once we have applied the differential, as we are increasing the differential input, the output is increasing. Now at certain value of VID, the output gets saturated. This saturation value is always less than the plus VCC, right? and in case of a negative, if VID is the difference in the voltage is input voltage is negative, then the output gets saturated in the negative region, and that is the negative region is nearly equal to negative of VEE, right? So the slope, this linear part, the slope is is given by the gain of the operational amplifier. So these saturation value, these are specified by an output voltage swing rating of the op-amp for given value of supply voltages. This means that the output voltage is directly proportional to the input difference voltage only until it reaches the saturation voltages, and that thereafter output voltage remains constant. आप कितना भी VID बढ़ा लीजिए, the output will remain gets constant. So the ideal voltage transfer curve is this is the ideal voltage transfer curve. Now we'll see the common mode rejection ratio, that what is CMRR. Now in common mode configuration, the inputs of the op-amp, they are set at the common mode, that means they are feeding with the same common mode voltage, which is we are considering as a V of CM, and we are feeding the same voltages at the negative and output in the negative and non-inverting terminal. So according to the, if you are considering a ideal op-amp, then the difference voltage should be 0, the output voltage should be 0. If we are feeding a same input at the both terminals, then the output will be the difference of the input, so difference is coming out to be 0. So ideally this should be 0, right, VOCM. But this is not the case. In practical scenario, this is not the case. Here we have changed the input voltages to a common mode input voltage. This common mode voltage gain will be denoted as output common voltage upon the input common mode voltage. So VOCM is, we are the very small amount of voltages we are getting at the output of this. Even when we are applying the same voltages at the input, we are getting some amount of output voltage. So that amount of voltage is VOCM and the input is VCM. So ideally VOCM and ACM should be equals to 0, but this is not the case in the practical scenario. So the common mode rejection ratio relates to the ability of the op-amp to reject the common mode input voltages. So CMRR is equals to, is defined by the differential voltage gain upon the common mode voltage gain. So ideally this should be equals to 0 in ideal case op-amp. So if this is 0, then the CMRR in ideal case will become infinite, right? So we usually represent CMRR in decibels, and this is the 20 log of this, the modulus of the ratio of ADA upon ACM. So this CMRR measures the matching between the two input terminals. Larger the value of CMRR, the better will be the matching between the transistors, and smaller will be the common mode output voltage. Now the next thing we'll see, next important property of the operational amplifier, that is the slew rate. The slew rate is frequency related parameter that we usually use for the op-amp. This is a large amplitude and high frequency. This is for large amplitude and high frequency input signal. It is defined as the maximum rate of change. Let's come to its definition, right? So it is defined as the maximum rate of change of output voltage per unit time. So slew rate is denoted as SR, and it is equals to rate of change of output voltage upon the rate of change in time, and this is the maximum value, that how maximum the rate of output voltage changes. So this is the unit is slew rate is volts per microseconds. Now we'll consider now to observe the to calculate the expression for slew rate. We'll consider this voltage follower circuit. This is the voltage follower circuit. The output is equal to the input voltage you are applying here. So let's consider Vin is a sinusoidal signal and having a peak value Vp. So Vin is equals to Vp sin omega t, and the output is naturally if it is a voltage follower, the output will be same as you are feeding the input signal. So this is Vp sin omega t. So rate of change of output voltage will be dVo upon dt. You will differentiate it with respect to the time, and you will get Vp omega cos omega t. So at maximum point, the cos omega t, this expression has the maximum value when cos omega t equals to the 1. Right, so dVo upon dt is equals to Vp omega. Now omega can be expressed as 2 pi f. So slew rate is equals to 2 pi f times of Vp. So and for making it in microseconds, we will divide it by 10 to the power 6. This is the expression for calculating undistorted output voltage swings. So this is the image for showing you the effect of slew rate. This is the desired green waveform, is the desired output waveform that we are required at the output of the op amp, but due to the frequency limitations, due to a lower slew rate, we get in the triangular format, and this is due to the slew rate limitations. Now come to the open loop configurations. That what is the configuration, like how you can use your op amp in different configurations. So there are two different configurations that we can use for the op amp. One is the open loop, another one is the closed loop. So in open loop, as the name suggests, there is no any feedback element between the input and output. We are not connecting the input with respect to the output. So this configuration is termed as open loop configuration. The inputs are separated and output is separated. Now the op amp simply in this case, this op amp is simply function as a very high gain amplifier. We will see in detail here. And this open loop configuration can be used in three different types. This configuration is used for number one is the differential amplifier configuration, open loop configuration, inverting amplifier in open loop configuration, non-inverting amplifier in open loop configuration. So now we'll consider the first type of open loop differential amplifier configuration. As I have earlier said, in the open loop configuration, there is no any connection between the output with the input. So in this case, we are applying two inputs, Vin1 and Vin2. Vin1 we are feeding at the non-inverting terminal, and Vin2 we are feeding at the inverting terminal, and we are measuring the output voltage. So naturally V out will be the difference of the input voltages A times, and A means A is the voltage gain. So the internal op amp formula is V out is A times of difference in input voltages. If V in is smaller than V in 2, then the output goes to the negative, and if V in 2 is greater than V in 1, then the output goes to positive. So this is how a differential amplifier works. In case of inverting and non-inverting configuration, how you will define an inverting configuration? Inverting means there is a 180-degree phase shift with respect to input and output. So you are applying the input at the inverting terminal. So here in the inverting case, we are applying a input only at the inverting terminal, and we have grounded the other one. We have grounded the non-inverting side, and I am measuring the output. This is open loop configuration again, but in inverting form. Now in case of non-inverting, as you can see here, we have grounded the inverting terminal, and non-inverting terminal is fed with the input voltage. So here the output op amp in case of inverting is minus of A times of V in, and in case of non-inverting it is A times of V in. In all these three configurations that we have discussed, the differential amplifier, inverting amplifier and non-inverting amplifier in open loop configuration, if there is a slightly higher signal than the zero voltage, it derives the output to a saturation level. Why it derives to the saturation level? Because A is very high. As we have seen in the ideal cases, the value of gain is above the 10 to the power 5. So if you are applying a very small signal which is slightly greater than 0 voltage, then the output gets saturated to the value less than VCC. Right? If signal is slightly positive, then it gets saturated towards the positive side. If slightly it is negative than 0 volt, then it will get saturated towards the negative minus of VEE value. So in this case, here in the open loop configuration case, the output will be either positive or negative saturated, or switches between the only positive and negative values. So you will get only a square wave, or you call it as a toggle signal at the output. So these configurations are not suitable for the linear applications. If you are implementing the op amp in linear configurations, then open loop configuration is not suitable at all. Now we'll apply a feedback. So in case of an open loop configuration, we have seen due to the very high internal gain of the op amp, the output gets saturated. So we have to control the gain of the op amp. So to control the gain of the op amp, we need to apply some external circuit over the operational amplifier. So we require a feedback. A feedback can be of negative feedback or can be of positive feedback, but feedback means we are connecting the output with the input. So in this case, we can see here the gain of the op amp is controlled by using a feedback, that is the output fed back again to the input terminal. If feedback signal is opposite polarity, that means or 180 degree out of phase with respect to the input, then we are calling it as a negative feedback, right? And this negative feedback is a degenerative type of feedback. Degenerative type means it reduces the output voltage amplitude, but in turn reduces the voltage gain of the system. And apart from the open loop configuration, we need a controlled voltage gain. We need to control the voltage, and for that we have to go for the negative feedback, so that some voltages can get reduced and you can control the your op amp gain. If feedback signal is of same polarity or in phase with respect to the input signals, then this is termed as a positive feedback, and this is a type of regenerative feedback. That means this aids the signal and necessary in oscillator circuit. For making oscillator circuit, we require a positive feedback, and for making a amplifier, a voltage gain amplifier, we need a negative feedback circuit. So op amp with positive feedback, we'll see how it works. In case of non-inverting, again there can be a different types of configurations like differential amplifier configuration, non-inverting and inverting. So I am considering a non-inverting feedback amplifier here. In case of a non-inverting, we are feeding a input terminal at the positive terminal, right? So V in is at positive and we have grounded the V in one. Now the feedback is always connected by the, this is the feedback resistance we are connecting at the input and output. So this input and output is connected by the feedback resistance, which is the R2, right? So we can see here the V output is the A times of V plus minus of V minus. V plus is the voltage that is present at the positive terminal, and V minus is the terminal voltage that is present at the input, at the inverting input, right? So V out is A times of V plus minus of V in. So now here is a voltage divider. As you can see in this diagram, I have in this inset diagram I have drawn a voltage divider of resistance V2, R2 and R1. Now there is a connection between the V out and minus of V. So we are measuring the voltages at the negative terminal. At the positive terminal we know that the voltage is V in, but at the negative terminal we have to calculate the voltage. Due to this voltage divider network, we have to first calculate the voltage at negative terminal. So let's calculate it. Since this negative is equals to V out times of R1 upon R1 plus R2, which is nothing but the voltage divider network. As you can see here, this is negative, this is R1, this is grounded R1, and this is minus of V1, which is feeding into the op amp. So this is minus of V, and this is R2 is feeding by the V out. So here V minus of V R, V negative is equals to V out times of R1 upon R1 plus R2. So V out, now we'll use this expression in the above, V out. So we will get V in minus V out over this times of A, and by segregating the values of V out on the left side and in the right side, we will get V out is equals to V in upon 1 upon A plus R1 plus R2. Since A is very, very large, then we can neglect this term and we will get the value of V out. So V output voltage is dependent on the input voltage times of R1 plus R2 upon R, right? And I can also rewrite it as V out is equals to V in times of 1 plus R2 upon R1. So that is the voltage gain equation. If I'll divide it V out by V in, that is the internal voltage gain of the feedback network. So we are calling it as the AF. This is the feedback gain of the circuit, and that is defined by the 1 plus R2 by R1. So this is defined, you can set the value of the feedback network by setting the value of these resistances, right? So by setting this value, we can control the gain of the system in the positive feed, in the non-inverting feedback amplifier. Now in case of inverting feedback amplifier, there is a mistake in the title of this slide. Don't get confused with the positive feedback. I have mistakenly returned it here positive feedback. There should be a negative feedback written here, and this is a non-inverting configuration. Now I'll discuss the inverting configuration of the negative feedback, right? Feedback is at this feedback element. Since this feedback element is at the negative side, we are feeding the negative input, negative feedback. If this feedback element was present at the positive side, then it should be a positive feedback. So that was the mistake in the previous slide. So please correct it. This in case of inverting feedback amplifier, we'll see that this is the now we'll again calculate the value of the voltage gain in the negative in this inverting feedback amplifier. Now in case of inverting feedback amplifier, we are feeding the input at the the this voltage divider, this divider network. We are feeding the input resistance at the negative terminal, and we have grounded the non-inverting terminal. So this is the voltage divider network I have made here. This is V out, this is V in, R in, and we are collecting we are measuring the V negative here. So V out is equals to A times of 0 minus of V minus, and so this comes out to be minus A times of V minus, right? So V minus, as we have measured here, that it is equals to V will be, since two voltages they are acting at a time on these two resistance divider. So here is V out is equals to R1 upon R1 plus R2 plus V in times of R2 upon R1 plus R2, right? So this is the expression for V negative due to these two voltages. So here this is minus A times of this expression. Now we'll again segregate the values of V out and V in, and we'll get the expression for the inverting negative feedback amplifier. The gain is, the feedback gain is minus of R2 upon R1, minus of R2 upon R1. In the previous case we have the 1 plus R2 upon R1. There is only a difference between the 1 plus, and in case of negative feedback we are having a minus of R2 over R1, right? So now we'll see another type of a circuit using a op-amp is the voltage follower. A voltage follower is a lowest gain non-inverting amplifier that can be obtained is 1. So it is called as a voltage follower. In voltage follower, again it follows the output voltage. Output voltage follows the input voltage, and the gain, this is the gain equation. Since I have eliminated the feedback resistances, the feedback resistance R1 and R2 we have eliminated it, and we have set them equals to 0. So R2 is 0, R1 is 0, so AF is equals to 1, and this is the lowest voltage gain that we can achieve using a feedback amplifier. So output voltage will be equal to and in phase, as we are applying the input voltage at the positive side, so that is in phase with the input. Now the application of the voltage follower is that it can be used as a non-inverting buffer amplifier, a buffer, and it removes the loading effect on the first network by setting the this sets the very high input resistance. So that is why it removes the loading of the previous network. Now there is another application of using a op-amp as a summing amplifier. This is much like a inverting amplifier but with the two input voltages. In case of this is again a feedback circuit where we have applied a feedback resistance, and at the input we are in the input, instead of using a single source we are applying a two sources at a time. So this is V1 through R1, it is feeding at the inverting terminal, and we have grounded the positive side. So V out is nothing but the minus of RF times of V1 upon R1 plus V2 upon R2, and if we will set R2 is equals to R1, we will get the V1 plus V2. So this is how a summing amplifier works.